Hi, this is Mrs. Robertson, and today we are going to do Chapter 2, Lesson 1. And the title of the lesson is Decimals and Fractions. The essential question, when is it better to use a fraction, a decimal, or a percent? After today's lesson, you're going to know more about decimals and fractions, and then we'll reflect on this question at the end. Okay, our real world link, page 89. So as you look on page 89, we have some instruments. It says, the instruments below show the part of students in the school orchestra that play each type of instrument. Brass is 25/100ths. Write in word form. All right, kids, let's write that in word form. 20, T-W-E-N-T-Y, dash 5, that's 20-5, and the last word is the place that the last digit is in. 5 is the last digit. It is in the hundreds place. So you write hundreds. H-U-N-D-R-E-D-T-H-S. Remember, if it lives behind the decimal point, it ends with a T-H-S. Now, everyone's pencils should have been moving them. The second problem, write 25/100ths as a fraction. Well, that's easy. Just put a 25 in the box. Now, let's do the same thing for percussion. 15/100ths. F-I-F-T-E-E-N, and the 5 is in the hundredths place. H-U-N-D-R-E-D-T-H-S. Write as a fraction, put 15/100. Now we're ready to do strings. Who would like to tell me, what am I going to write for number 5? Carrington? Oh, you're even telling me how to spell it. Wonderful. Yes. 30 dash, excellent, dash 1, and then hundreds. H-U-N-D-R-E-D-T-H-S. Who would like to tell me what goes in the box? Yes. 31. Number 7, I played the clarinet in band. Any clarinet players in here? No. All right. What am I going to write down for my word form? Yes.
20-900.
Very good. Everyone has that written down. And what digits will I put above 100, Addison? 29. Okay. This was all pretty easy. Any questions on this page? All right, let's go to the next page, 90. On page 90 it says, write decimals as fractions and mixed numbers. Decimals like 25/100ths, 15/100ths, 31/100ths, and 29/100ths can be written as fractions with denominators of 10, 100, 1,000, and so on. Any number that can be written as a fraction is a rational number. Rational numbers are numbers that can be written as a fraction. Decimals like 3 and 25/100ths, 26 and 82/100ths, and 125 and 54/100ths can be written as mixed numbers in simplest form. All right, so let's look at this. Number 1, write each decimal as a fraction in simplest form. 6/10. All right, here we have an example of it in the place value chart. It says the place value chart shows that the place value of the last decimal place is the tenths. Okay, right there it is. So 6/10. Then you have to simplify. I noticed on your test yesterday, a lot of you are still having problems simplifying. So you need to be careful when you simplify. You say, what will divide a 6 and a 10? Here, 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. The answer is 3/5. Okay, let's look at the next one, number 2. 45, 5 is in the hundredths place, so you put it over 100. What will divide a 45 and 100? That's right, 5. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 100 divided by 5 is 20. 9/20. Now let's look at number 3. 375 thousandths. Okay, the 5 is in the thousandths place. Now, kids, they had to look up their greatest common factor. Let's just practice simplifying this over here. 375 over 1,000. Okay, if it ends in a 5 and a 0, 5 will divide it, right? So I'm going to start off with that. Some of you might have thought, well, we know that 25 can divide it too, but let's start with the 5. Okay, 5 will go into 37 7 times. So that's a 75 over 200. Now you might say, oh, I know that, think about quarters. 25 will divide 75, and 25 will divide 200. 75 divided by 25 is 3, and 200 divided by 25 is 8. And you end up with the answer 3/8. Okay? Sometimes you have to simplify more than once. Here they were able to do it. They knew that 125 divides both of those. A lot of you, I wouldn't have guessed that right away. But if you simplify by 5, and then you go, oh, this also works. Now, let's go to the bottom, and I would like for you to do A, B, and C. Write your answers down, and then I will show you the answers. And we do have to simplify them. For letter A, what will divide an 8 and a 10? 2. So when we simplify it, 2 is our greatest common factor. The answer is 4/5. What will divide a 28 and a 100? Bella. If you don't know, always check with the 2 and the 3. Will 2 divide 28 and 100? Yes, they're both even numbers, so if you're stuck, divide it by 2, and that'll be 14 over 50. Oh, they're both even numbers again. What will divide a 14 and a 50? They're even, so it will be a 2. And you end up with 7 over 25. 7/25. Sometimes we have to do more than one simplification. Now, 125 over 1,000. What will, yes, we'll start with the 5. Okay. All right, 5 goes into that 25 times, and it'll go into that 200. Now, what will divide a 25 and a 200? Sophia.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. 5.
Yes. I thought maybe you would have guessed something larger. Divide them both by 5. And you have 5 over 40. We can do it again. What will divide a 5 and a 40? 5, and we end up with 1/8. So the answer to that one is 1/8. You should have these answers all written down. I notice that there are 3 of you that have not been writing your answers down. Please make sure you have these. I'm going to walk around the room to check to see who is doing this and who is not. And I know you don't want to disappoint me. All right, are we ready to go to the next page? Okay, page 91. We are ready for example 3. Page 91. Here it says, the average length of a conch shell, that's the shell right over here, is 9 8/85 inches. Expressed as a mixed number in simplest form. Okay, so 9 is a whole number, so you put 9 and 85 hundredths. 85 over 100 is your fraction. Then you simplify it. What will divide an 85 and 100? 5 will. And when they divided it by 5, you end up with 17/20. So now let's go to letter D. It takes approximately 4 65 quarts of milk to make a pound of cheese. Express this amount as a mixed number in simplest form. Those are the key words. So 4 65 over 100. Did everyone know to do that? Now we have to write our simplified fraction. What will divide a 65 and a 100? They end in a 5 and a 0. What will it be? Yes, a 5. Now, don't forget to put your whole number down. You got to bring your 4. We're dividing it by 5. That'll be 13 over 20. 4 13/20 is in simplest form. Any questions? All right, now we're going to do the reversal. We're going to write fractions as mixed numbers and decimals. For fractions with denominators that are factors of 10, 100, or 1,000, you can write equivalent fractions with these denominators. Okay, let's look at what we have here. They show 2 methods, kids. Method 1, write an equivalent fraction. All right, to change it to a decimal, the denominator has to be a 10, a 100, or 1,000, okay? Now, I'm just going to put a box. I could use a variable for the number, but in order for you to write it as a decimal, the denominator has to be a form of 10, a power of 10. That's what these are called. All right, so one way is you go, oh, 9/12. 12 is not a factor of 10 or 100, so I'm going to scale down. You simplify it, you get 3/4. Is 4 a factor of 100? Yes. 4 times 25 is 100. 3 times 25 is 75. And your answer will be 0.75 because 75 hundredths is the decimal 0.75. Okay? Now, method 2 works with every number. It works every time. Okay, so let's put a star by number 2. It works for all of them. This method 1 only works when the denominator is a factor of 10, 100, or 1,000. Okay? In this one, you divide. And I know we need to practice our division skills with decimals a little bit. So the top number goes in the box. Let's just redo this problem over here. Draw your division box. The top number goes in the box. The denominator goes outside the box. How many 12s are in a 9? 0. Add a decimal point. Put it up in your quotient, which is the answer to a division problem. Then I call add a dotty dot, or add a 0. How many 12s are in a 97? 12 times 7 is 84. Subtract. Add another 0. Bring it down, or add a dotty dot. Bring it down. How many 12s are in a 60? 5. And you get 0.75. And that goes straight to a decimal. Okay? So, let's look at the bottom ones. And we're going to do this one here. Is 5 a factor of 10, 100, or 1,000? Yes, it is. That makes us happy. How can a 5 turn into a 10? Yes.
Times 2.
Times 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. And 6/10 gives you the decimal 6/10. Now, if you want to put 0.6, that's fine, but that's your answer to this problem, because our job is to turn it to a decimal. Now, is 25 a factor of 10, 100, or 1,000? It's a factor of 100, isn't it? That makes us happy. 25 times 4 is 100. Kids, you'll see me doing the parenthesis thing. That also means multiply instead of doing the x with multiplying, okay? So when you see me doing this, that means multiplying. 25 times 4 is 100. 14 times 4 is 56. Now, we don't simplify this because we need to write it as a decimal. And the decimal is 56 hundredths. Do you see that? Now, this one, we have a problem. Is 250, we can try to maybe get it over, is 250 a factor of 10? 100? Is it a factor of 1,000? Yes, it is a factor of 1,000. How many 250s are in 1,000? Yes, it's 4, because 250s is 500. So it is 4. 250 times 4 is 1,000. 102 times 4 is 408. So 408 thousandths. That will be 0.408. Any questions? Now these we didn't divide because the denominators were all factors of a power of 10. Any questions? Okay, let's go to page 92. A caterpillar, here we have our word problem. A caterpillar can have as many as 4,000 muscles compared to a human who have about 600. Write the length of the caterpillar as a decimal. Okay, so the caterpillar is 1 3/8 inches. So to write it as a decimal, it's 1 point, and we have to change 3/8 to a decimal. So let's divide 3 by 8. 3 divided by 8. Well, I want you to show the division on this, okay? 3 divided by 8. How many 8s are in a 3? 0. So put a 0 above the 8, add a decimal, and a dotty dot or a 0. How many 8s are in a 30? 3. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract. Add another 0. Bring it down. How many 8s are in a 60? 7. I did not put my decimal in the quotient there, did I? I forgot to bring it straight up. I saw someone's hand go up. I think they were going to tell me that. Now, 8 times 7 is 56. Subtract. Add another 0. Bring it down. 8 will go into 40 5 times. So it's 1.375. 1 375 hundredths inches is what they have right there. Okay? Now let's do our guided practice, and then I'll let you know what your homework assignment is going to be. Who would like to read the directions for the guided practice? Carrington, please do so.
Write each decimal as a factor or mixed number and simplify it in simplest form.
Right, so we have to always remember to go back and check it for simplest form. Okay, so let's do this problem here. 4/10. I need to write that as 4/10. Is that simplified, Brandon? No. What will divide a 4 and a 10? 2. And we have 2/5. Very easy. Number 2. Who would like to do number 2? Okay, I'll help, and then you can just help me. 64 goes over what, class? Very good. Now, will that simplify? Yes. What do you want to try? What will divide a 64 and 100, Carrington?
3. What?
Actually, 3 won't divide it.
2.
Let's do 2. Okay. 64 divided by 2 is 32. 100 divided by 2 is 50. Oh, they're both even numbers. That means we can do what? And what will divide a 32 and a 50? 2. So let's just do it again. 32 divided by 2 and 50 divided by 2. Well, 32 divided by 2 is 16, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. I don't think anything will divide 16 and 25. You can always use your factor sheet, kids, to help you if you need it, but it is simplified. All right, number 3. In number 3, I put down my whole number 2. It's in front of the decimal point. And my fraction is going to be 75 over what? 100. Now, you might know how to simplify this one. Think of money. So I put the 2 down. What will divide a 75 and 100? Yes. Not a 25. Yes. Think of quarters and you say, oh, 25 goes into 75 3 times, and everyone knows 100 divided by 25 is 4. 2 3/4. Any questions on that? I will zoom it out there. Okay, now the next one, we have to get this over a form of a 10, 100, 1,000, or we can divide it. Okay, 75, it's not a factor of 10. It's not a factor of 100. It might be a factor of 1,000, but let's just divide this one, okay? So, 27 over 75. You're going to put 27 in the box, 75 outside the box. All right, how many 75s are in a 27? None. Add your decimal. Don't forget to put it up, and a dotty dot. How many 75s would there be in a 270? I think it's 3. 75 times 3, 225, yes. So 225 goes under the 70, subtract 45, add a dotty dot, bring it down. It will go into that, I think 6 times. Yeah, comes out perfect. 6 times 5 is 30, carry a 3, 42 plus 3 is 45. So that is our decimal, 36 hundredths. Any questions on that? Okay, can we get a 2 over, can a 2 turn into a 10? Yeah, it's a factor of 10. 2 times what is 10? Yes, 5. 2 times 5 is 10, and 7 times 5 is 35 tenths. Now, that will equal, 35 is bigger than 10, it's 3 and 5 tenths. Do you see how I got 3 and 5 tenths? How many tens are in a 35? 3. There are 5 left over. Now, I have to write that as a decimal. So it'll be 3 what? 3.5. Okay? Because our job is to write it as a decimal. In this one, 3 and 1/5, it's going to be 3 point something. I know you know this. 5 is a factor. Is 5 a factor of 10, 100, or 1,000? 10, that's right. So we're going to get it over a 10. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 2 is 2. So 2 tenths, so it'll be 3.2. Any questions? All right, let's go on to number 7. The Ravenhead's car averages 23 and 75 miles per gallon of gasoline. Express this amount as a mixed number in simplest form. It's always easy to go to mixed numbers, isn't it? So you're going to write 23 and 75 over what? What's the last place that the 5 is in? 75 over 100. Now, is that in simplest form? No. What will divide a 75 and 100? Yes. 25 will. And so when you divide that by 25, you end up with 23 and 3/4. Any questions? Oh, let's look at the STEM question. The Siberian tiger can grow 10 and 4/5 feet long. Express this length as a decimal. Well, it's going to be 10 point something, right? 4/5 equals what over 10? Not 2. You multiply it by 2. What's 4 times 2?
8.
8/10. So it'll be 10.8. Any questions? All right, we are going to go on now. Well, let's do our essential question here down at the bottom. What is the relationship between fractions and decimals? Can anyone, any thoughts on that this morning? Well, fractions can be written as decimals and decimals can be written as fractions. That's all. I mean, let's just write that down. Fractions can be written as decimals. That's the relationship. Fractions can be written as decimals. And then I'm just going to write on the second line, decimals can be written as fractions. I don't want to have to write all those words down. So those little marks mean the word above it goes right down there. Okay. Now we're going to go and look at what you have for homework tonight. And the homework assignment will be page 93. And on page 93, I would like for you to do all 11. Okay, and then on page 94, I want you to do 12 and 13. This is on page 94. And then on page 95, do 1 to 3. Do all, but I will allow you to skip 2. You can skip 2. You can skip any 2 problems. All right. Do all, but you can skip any 2 problems. So if there's a problem that's hard, you can skip it and go on. Any questions? All right, you've been a great class, and let's get going on working on our homework. You have about 20 minutes.